Hi and welcome to lesson number 12 in my series of classic licks videos. Taking a look at some of the signature or classic licks from the greatest guitar players in blues music in the 50s and 60s, electric guitar players. And today we're going to take a look at the playing of the wild and crazy Ike Turner, who is one of the really unique guitar players, blues, rhythm and blues, however you want to classify him. And today I'm going to show you some Ike Turner stuff, some of his ideas behind his playing that I've picked up on and I've learned, and also some particular licks that you can take and add to your vocabulary of blues guitar playing. Let's start off with just one real important idea with Ike Turner. Something that makes his sound very unique is the fact that he plays all up and down the neck. And if he's playing in a particular key in the same solo or during the same song, he will play licks in all kinds of different positions. So I thought I'd start out and just show you what I mean by that and show you some examples of where he plays. And if you listen to his music and you want to figure out some of his songs on your own, you can do it. I'm focusing mainly on his early stuff that he recorded and the instrumentals that he did, and that's what I'm looking at, not so much the later things he recorded. Okay, let's start out. Key of C. So if we make a first position bar chord in the key of C, I'm going to use C as a way to show you some of his range on the fretboard. First of all, he'd play a lot in the first position blues box. So you'd hear Ike Turner play lots of licks like this. So he's playing right in the key of C, the blues, basic blues box position, or if you're not familiar with the first position blues box, look at my lesson on blues guitar fundamentals and you can see that. He also play in the second position blues box, which is down here. So if or up here I should say. So I've got my first finger here on the 8th fret. Now I'm going down on the second string to the 11th and 13th frets. So that is what called the second position blues box. You're just playing right in this area, basically 5 notes. You hear Ike Turner do stuff like that a lot. So he's playing there too. So he's playing first position blues box, second position blues box. And then a lot of times you'll hear him go way up the neck and do some really neat runs and slides and screeches. I don't know what you call these things. But one thing he does is he'll go down to the second position bar chord. So if this is a first position C, second position C is up here on the neck with my first finger barring the 15th fret. My first finger is on the 15th fret of the 5th string, getting the C note. And then my second, or my ring finger, is completing the bar on the 17th fret from the 4th string on down, with the ring finger on the 17th fret of the 4th string. So the bass notes, or the power chord, would sound like that. And really what I'm playing is the 17th fret, the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th string. So that's a C chord. So what he does with that is while he's playing, maybe he's playing here, he'll go down and do these ferocious bends or go up. And the main bend I hear him doing is where he's got his first finger on the 15th fret of the 1st string and the second finger on the 18th fret. So if you just bounce your fingers between the 15th and 18th fret on the 1st string, that's the position. And then to bend it, it's a lot like the long bends that I showed you before, but all 4 fingers from the 15th down to the 18th fret on the 1st string and bend. And he'll do stuff like that a lot. And then sometimes he'll even go down or up even further. That is the 20th fret of the 1st string. All the way on the 1st string. So if you listen to Ike Turner's playing, he may start out in the first position blues box, go to the second, then all the way up to the 20th fret. So those are some places where he's playing. Now he doesn't do much as far as patterns in those higher positions. He's mostly just bending on the one string or playing that one note. Now in some other places you'll see he plays a little different. Now going down the neck, if we start back at the first position C chord, you'll also hear him play some things like this. And that is another place where you can play in the key of C. I'm not musically that educated, so I am just kind of showing you where you can play, and then the music sense of it you can figure out on your own, or maybe you know it. This is a second position C bar chord, and this time I'm playing it down here with my first finger on the 3rd fret of the 5th string, barring, and then my ring finger on the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th strings of the 5th fret. So if I take that and slide it up 2, then I've got another blues box I can play in. And mostly I'm playing on those few notes right there. So this is the 5th fret of the 4th string, 7th fret of the 4th string, 5th fret of the 3rd string, 7th fret, and sometimes the 8th fret. You'll hear Ike Turner do a lot of stuff. So if we're playing in C, I know that's a C, that's basically a C chord right there. And all I do is anchor my first finger and play in that area too. Now I could play the same thing here, which is there, but I think when you hear Ike Turner playing it, he's playing it mostly down here. And then one other place where you'll hear him play is in that same second position bar chord range, but this time on the bass string. And he'll throw in these bass licks, and I'll show you a couple of those from specific songs here in just a little bit. So here, there's my bar chord. On the 6th string, I'm going to the 3rd and 5th frets. 5th fret or 5th string, 3rd and 5th frets, and 6th fret. Just kind of bouncing around. Do all kinds of melodies and patterns there. And so when you learn Ike Turner's playing, one thing to realize is he's going all over the place. And that's one of the things that gives his guitar playing that wildness, just that unpredictability, which is really what I think I like the most about it. So now that we know that, let's take a look at some specific things about his playing, more specific examples of licks and ideas from some of his instrumentals. And okay, now we're going to start learning a few of Ike Turner's signature licks and things that he did on the guitar. Perhaps the one thing that stands out the most is his use of the whammy bar. And unless I'm mistaken, Ike Turner was about the first guitar player to really use the whammy bar in kind of a wilder way. I know some of the surf groups in the early 60s, of course they used it, the Ventures and instrumental groups like that. But Ike Turner was the one, I think, in blues and rhythm and blues that really started using this thing. I am not great with the whammy bar. I am trying to learn how to use this thing myself and get good at it because I like the sound. I've got a Stratocaster here with a tremolo bar on it, and this is a Mexican Strat, and I didn't have to pay a whole lot of money for it, but it's a 50s sounding, it's called a 50s Stratocaster. And one thing I like about this guitar is you can really bend on the whammy bar and it tends to stay in tune, at least for a while. So with Ike Turner, let's stay in the key of C because that's a good key. If you listen to his recordings, sometimes it sounds like he's in C sharp or off chords, but you can just, maybe that's just the way the songs were recorded, I don't know. So in the key of C, I'm going to show you a couple things that he does, just a couple ideas that you hear a lot. One way he uses the whammy bar is when he bends, these long bends. those are just some basic blues bends. This one, I've got my first finger on the 8th fret of the first string, and then I put my fingers down on the 9th, 10th, and 11th frets. I've got all 4 frets on the first string. I just bend it all up and hold it up there. Now I could use vibrato with my wrist, my hands, and try to imitate that sound, but you'll hear the difference with the whammy bar. Then you can do the same thing on the 2nd string. And then on the 3rd string, you just use your first 3 fingers on the 8th, 9th, and 10th frets. And that's about as far as Ike goes. He doesn't do much this way as far as the whammy bar goes. So let me show you with the whammy bar. Now I've got the whammy bar in my right hand, and I've got it with my pinky and my ring finger, or 3rd finger on this hand. So when I do a bend, it sounds like this. And what I'm doing is really pressing down on that thing. And that is what you hear Ike Turner doing a lot of the times. He does it with single strings. He also does it with double stops. Things like that. And he has a couple signature licks that he does using it. One of them is when he goes from the 1st string to the 2nd string to the 3rd string with the whammy bends, something like this. And he'll do a lick like a fill, or even in a solo, where he plays the 1st and 2nd strings just back to back like this. You might wind up on the G string. That's hard to do. I'm just getting used to this. Something like that. And that is signature Ike Turner sounding stuff. So the use of the whammy bar on the bends, and a lot of his tunes, you'll hear that. Just practice it. I'm practicing it, and I'm not real good at it, but I know what he's doing, so eventually I'll get smoother at it. But I figured that's a start. So that's what I think he's doing. If anyone has any other knowledge to share with me on that, let me know, because I love that sound. It's just craziness. Moving on, another Ike Turner idea is the way that he slides up the neck. He does these things, I call them screeches, where he goes to the highest note possible. So in the key of C, he'll go down or up to the 20th fret on the 1st string. And he'll do these licks. It bears a resemblance to the surfing, the staccato picking, Dick Dale, that kind of thing. And he'll do something like this. Sometimes he'll just stay on that note. I'm sliding between the 19th and 20th fret. And sometimes he'll just hold it down there and then pick it as he slides back up into the 1st position, blues box, or the 2nd position. So you might do something like this. Coming back into the 1st position, or something like that. Other times he does these things where he slides it all the way up, all the way down, all the way up, back and forth again. And this is kind of fun to do. So if he's playing in C, he might do this. That kind of thing. And all he's doing is, here's your C bar chord up here. He's going from the 20th fret up to the 3rd fret, and back. And you can vary the speed and the emphasis of your picking to get whatever sound you want. But he might, he does that in quite a few of his songs, playing the high note. So then you're in C, you go to the 20th fret, 3rd fret, back and forth, and that's another kind of cool idea that he does. Playing that high note, you can hold it. You hear some guys just pick it like that repeatedly and then maybe go back up to the 1st position blues box, but he likes to slide it slide it back and forth, just up and down one fret and then back up again. Another idea, another Ike Turner type idea is on the bass notes he does a little bit of a slide. And this time he's going to slide from his first position up to the second position and play on the bass notes. And he does this in a couple different songs, or a number of different songs. So if he's playing in the first position blues box, he'll slide picking from, this is the 8th fret, so about the 11th fret, up to that first position or second position chord area in C on the bass string. That's another way that he does the sliding. So instead of the high notes, he's going on low notes. And he'll do something like that. Just in time, you know, with the beat. And so if I'm in C, I'm sliding from the 11th fret of the 6th string to the 3rd fret. And then I'm going into that position scale up here. I'm playing something there. So the sliding on the high notes, back and forth, into the first position blues box, second position, and he does this similar thing on the bass note. Those are signature Ike Turner ideas. To wrap up this look at Ike Turner's playing, to show you just a couple interesting ideas with double stops. And Ike Turner, like all 50s rhythm and blues guitar players and rock and roll guys like Chuck Berry, they used a lot of double stops. Gave their solos a more full sound. Ike Turner would use something like this a lot, which is a standard R&B blues type double stop. And it's an abbreviated version of the T-Bone Walker, Pee Wee Crayton type thing with the diminished chord. So instead of playing that whole chord, he's more focusing on the first and second strings. So I've got my first finger in C on the 8th fret, first and second strings. My first finger is anchoring both those strings. Then my pinky's going on the 11th fret of the first string, and my ring finger is on the 10th fret of the second string. And he bounced back and forth between the double stop here and then just the C, or the Chuck Berry type double stop on the 8th fret. And there's a standard Ike Turner type thing where he's going and then sliding down the neck. So what I'm doing is two notes there. You might go to the 4 chord. Typical Ike Turner. So he uses a lot of that type thing on his double stops. So a lot of double stops in there. Another thing you'll hear Ike Turner do a lot are some bends. So on the 3rd string here in the C. So he'll bend on from the 3rd string to the 1st string. So he's bending with his 1st, 2nd, and 3rd fingers on the 3rd string at the 8th, 9th, and 10th frets. And then his first finger's going up to the 8th fret of the 1st string. Sometimes he'll get the double stop where he bends up and gets the 1st and 2nd strings. Other times he'll just get the single note. So that's another Ike Turner idea. So basically the stuff with Ike Turner's playing, a lot of it is in the first position blues box. He plays pretty simple ideas, but it's the gadgets that he uses, the whammy bar, the slides, and then the different tones and sounds he gets by playing up and down the fretboard. Low notes, high notes, that's what really gives Ike Turner his sound. I hope this lesson is helpful. I hope there's some ideas here that you can use. And once again, if you know anything about this stuff that I don't know or can teach me, I'd be glad to hear from you. I'll see you again soon with another guitar instruction video.